Science is not about why, it is about why not. A very good morning to all present here. I, Gulfisha Khan, on behalf of CSIR IITR, welcome you all to the celebration of National Science Day. Let us all brace ourselves to explore global science for global well-being as a theme for this National Science Day 2023 and our Institute CSIR IITR 1 Week, 1 Lab event. Before we begin, I would like to request Director CSIR IITR Dr. Bhaskar Narayan to usher our chief guest, Shri Tarun Sridhar, IAS, former Secretary to the Government of India, Dr. Purlikal Sharma, former Chief Scientist CSIR, who is our Chief Guest of Honor, Dr. V.K. Khanna, Chief Scientist, CSIR IITR, and Shri Nikhil Garg, Chief Scientist, CSIR IITR, to grace the dais. Light, the greatest gift of nature, expels the void of darkness, ignorance, and disbelief. May I now request Dr. Y. Shukla to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. It's my immense pleasure to welcome today's chief guest, Shri Tarun Sridhar ji from Indian Administrative Services and former Secretary to the Government of India. Also, I'm welcoming Dr. AVS Sharma ji, former Chief Scientist from our family of CSIR. Our Director, Dr. Bhaskar Narayan, Shri Nikhil Garg ji, Dr. Vinay Kumar Khanna ji, students, colleagues, and friends. Today, we are having a double delight. Means today is the world's National Science Day as well as the second day of our mega event 1 Week, 1 Lab campaign. So, Lucknow is a historic city. And sir, I know that both of you are coming for this institution for the first time. This is a unique institution which started in the 60s about the toxicology and environmental health, far ahead of the time when this all hue and cry about the environment and human health and occupational exposure has started. So our visionary founder director, Dr. S.S. Zaidi, at that time, started because Kanpur was an industrial city, and with the industrial health, we started. And in these 6 decades, we came too far. Regarding the 1 Week, 1 Lab program, this is much initiated by our Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Shri Jitendra Singh ji, who is the Minister in charge of the Science and Technology Ministry, in all the 37 labs to showcase the achievements of CSIR to the common man, what we did and what we can do. So all the 37 labs are showcasing what they did in this event. So this time baton is with us. And today, I think in the entire this week, you might have seen a hectic program, both in our main campus as well as another campus, which is called as Gheru campus. We are showcasing our activities. So for the students, for the entrepreneurs, academicians, industrialists, and for every field, including print and technology media, which are highlighting our events through regular columns in the newspaper, also on the blogs and all that. So on behalf of the organizing committee of the 1 week 1 lab and behalf of my own entire CSIR team, I'm representing them here because this is all the day-night efforts of all the, right from the students to the administration, uh, scientific fields, and everyone are here, which we are to showcase all these activities. So once again, I'm welcoming you all, the historic city of the Lucknow and this premier institution of CSR IITR. Thank you very much. So it was a pleasant duty to invite our director, Dr. Bhaskar Narayanji, to felicitate our guest. भूल हो जाती है.
Now I request our director to kindly light the lamp.
सरस्वती वंदन. Shanti, Shanti.
reference why we are celebrating a National Science Day, but this is my duty that has been assigned to me. So what I will do in the next few minutes, I like to share the importance of the day. You all will agree with me that science is essential to the development of our society and economy. It is the engine that drives innovation and progress in various fields, including healthcare, agriculture, energy, and education. From the discovery of electricity to the development of the internet, science and technology have transformed every aspect of our lives. It has helped us understand the natural world and the laws that govern it, and has enabled us to develop new technologies and medicines that have improved our health and the quality of life. Scientific research has the power to address the most pressing challenges being faced by the society, from climate change to poverty and inequality. I remember one of the famous quote by Louis Pasteur that science knows no country because knowledge belongs to humanity and is the torch that illuminates the world. We all are here to celebrate the National Science Day to mark the discovery of the Raman effect by Indian physicist Sir C.V. Raman. He is the person whom we all admire from the core of our heart. And Raman effect, as you all are aware, is a change in the wavelength of light that occurs when a light beam is deflected by the molecules. It was a groundbreaking discovery that paved the way for the development of modern physics and changed the course of scientific research. This discovery has significant innovation and application in various fields, including chemistry and material science, to reveal the structure of the materials. Moreover, it paved the way for the development of modern physics and changed the course of scientific research. As a matter of fact, Sir C.V. Raman announced the discovery of Raman effect on 28th February of 1928, and his contributions were very well recognized, and he received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930. The discovery is considered to be a significant milestone in the field of science and putting India on the world map of scientific research. The Government of India, on the recommendation of the National Council of Science and Technology Communication in 1986, designated 28th February as National Science Day, and the first National Science Day was celebrated on 28th February 1987. Since then, the National Science Day is celebrated as one of the main science festivals in the country every year. The purpose is to widely spread a message about the significance of scientific applications in the daily life of the people, display all the activities, efforts, and achievements in the field of science for welfare of human beings, discuss all the issues and implement new technologies for the development of the science, give an opportunity to the science-minded citizens in the country, and encourage the people as well as popularize the science and technology. Moreover, it is an occasion to recognize the contributions of our scientists and their role in shaping the world we live in. On this occasion, theme-based science communication activities are carried out all over the country. On this year, the theme for the National Science Day is Global Science for Global Well-being. The theme indicates the country's emerging global role and rising visibility in the international arena. I further remember one of the very famous quote by Stephen Hawking, which is a renowned physicist. Science is the key to unlocking the mysteries of the universe. This is a great day, and we all feel proud on the scientific research and contribution of our colleagues in the country. With these words, I thank you all. Jai.
I now request Dr. K.C. Kulbe to introduce the guests for today's event.
In fact, I think Dr. Kulbe is involved in some important activity. Thankful to him paid his time and for doing that activity. And it's a pleasant surprise for me also, as well as pleasant duty at that to introduce our esteemed guests. Let me start with Arun Sridhar Saab. In fact, for those of you who are really wondering who this person is, actually, he is someone who has done human service to this country in framing policies, in writing policy papers, and even now, despite being the judicial head in the Central Administrative Tribunal as an administrative judge, still he finds time to write about policies with scientific evidences. And you will all be surprised, he had many roles before retiring as Secretary, Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries. And it is during Arun Sridhar Saab's time that a separate Ministry for Fisheries also was formed, and he was also instrumental in getting those logistics in place. And I'm not sure how many of you have read his articles about different aspects of poultry, fisheries, or animal husbandry. When you read his articles, you understand that despite being an administrative officer, he finds time to find scientific evidences I said so when he delivers his keynote address. And so thank you very much, sir. And then the guest of honor for today's function, Mr. His name is very long, so normally he's known as Kollegala Sharma. He writes science, simplifies science for the common man, students, and people without any science background. So he simplifies it in such a way. He has authored, I don't know how many books, but there's certainly more than 30, 40 books. And he writes in Kannada, he writes in English. And you will all be surprised, as part of CSR IIT, some of my colleagues who are sitting here, you will all be surprised. He has penned one article on Dr. C.R. Krishnamurthy about his struggles. And he has been one of the co-authors to collate information of those scientists whose birth centenary is coming up in 2023. And that has been released by DSC, that compendium of scientists who are going to hit 100 years in 2023. And he has been such a voracious writer, and he has been hired by several science and technology academies to propagate science awareness campaigns across different states. And recently he was also in the India International Science Festival at Bhopal and at Manit. And to top it all, he has been a good senior to me and a good friend of me also. And You will all be surprised to know that he does not originally belong to CSI or CFTRI. He is from the then NISCE, now which is called as NISPER, Center for Science and Policy Research. And he has science communication as his forte. And when I asked him, would you come and deliver a talk? Then the first question, of course, even Tarun Sridhar Saab also asked me, what is the profile of participants? I said, it will be students, it will be my colleagues, it will also be some curious public who are going to walk into this because we have an open day here. Then they both, happily agree because they believe in simplifying science, to take it to the society or to make it amenable to somebody who can understand science in simple terms, so that they don't feel that science is very difficult, so we should not take it. So it is to create that curiousness. And I'm really thankful to Sharmaji for having accepted our invite and be here with us at Lucknow. And I must say thank you to Kulbiji that I got this opportunity to tell about the speakers when he was supposed to speak all this. Thank you very much. And we welcome you both, sir. And it's been a pleasure. Personally, I feel honored that you accepted our invite and you have been with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request all the dignitaries to kindly take their seats down the stage. I now request Dr. Kolikal Sharma to deliver his popular lecture on how to be a curious inventor.
Something changed, and wait. Okay. Subsequently, a few things changed, and instead of taking up active research, I went into science communication, and that's how I am here. And all these years, National Science Day had been a special day for me, organizing functions like this rather than being a chief guest. This is my first, probably, a function, National Science Day, in the last 35 years, where I've been speaking rather than organizing the science days. When Dr. Bhaskar invited me here, the first question I had was, what do I speak and to whom do I speak? And he said there will be a mixed audience. So I know how mixed it is now, looking at it. And therefore, before I start what I would like to talk to you about, let me just say that this is basically addressed to the distinguished guests that are here right in front, the youngsters, rather than my colleagues sitting at the back. That's because most of us know many things we perceive, but probably we will not be very, aware that how we are going to do those things. So it's like instinctual things that we do, and innovation is one of those things. Many people ask me, so what have you invented? So my daughter asked me, when she was young, she asked me, you say that you are a scientist, what have you invented? I said nothing. And she started asking me several questions like, who invented that? Who invented this? This is the quiz that happens in almost every school. So I had to say that this was invented by Edison, that was invented by somebody else, that was Marconi. And she said, what did we Indians invent? The question is that. And I said zero. Of course, zero was invented by us. The zero is not an object, a device, or anything that we usually associate with invention. So this is what I'm going to talk to you about, not zero. What I'm going to talk to you about is that innovations or inventions or innovations, what we talk about, that result in inventions need not be always devices, number one. Second thing is that one can teach himself or one can teach herself how to be an innovator. Because many of us think that geniuses happen and are born. I do agree, some people are like that. But then most of us who think that we cannot be geniuses may have to train ourselves to be like that. So that is the whole crux of my talk today here. If you agree with me, I'll be very happy. If you don't agree also, I would like to persuade you to believe in that. So that in future, we can do some things better than what we are doing today. And we are all naturally, instinctually scientists, naturally curious, and there is no other example than this video that I'm going to show you. So it will take about a minute of this video. I want you to watch this very carefully and see how the child behaves. And then we can look at, see, it's a whole summarization of my whole talk is in this particular video. Please have a look. Look at the child. He faces a problem. Now he goes out. He's seeking resources. He has a plan. I don't know if it is he or she, but maybe he has a plan. Yes, that's not enough. But this is the part I like very much. Watch. Yes, that's what he needs. If at least one, yes, everybody will rise. Two, probably. Three, some of them. Then fourth, fifth, and sixth will be a problem. So let me just give an example why I have them here. They have innovated in different fields of this one. So innovation doesn't mean that it is a device. So there can be several types of innovations, and it can be a method or a system. So the CSIR was a system that was set up in, just before independence to take care of the needs of the nation. And who did that? SS Bhatnagar. Many times people have seen that photo and said he is a Hitler. So his mustache is like that. So that's a misnomer. He was a wonderful person who set up a lot of things, but not just a system. Dr. Bhatnagar also was himself a very great innovator and an inventor. So several things stand in his name, and several things are even appreciated by the way that he discovered. One of them is the lubricant that we use in the petroleum wells, and that was from one of the seeds that he discovered the protein and used it. And that's a wonderful innovation that he did, and that actually drives a lot of petroleum industry today across the world. And of course, pygmy banking. Probably Sridharji will be knowing about TFI, and he drove the banking system to a different level by his innovation of sending people to your home to collect money and then start banking. So TFI was another one. Then we have Razor, GD Naidu from Coimbatore. His razor, the shaving razor that was invented by him, is appreciated across the world even now. Then we have Panchang. The India had several Panchangs. All of them were put together, combined, and made into one single one so that the independent India uses the same timing, same kind of calendar everywhere. And that was Professor M.N. Saha. M.N. Saha is also known as a great physicist of the standing of Dr. Raman. Of course, scattering of light was Raman's innovation. It is used even today. The principle is used everywhere in several of the technologies that we see. Okay? To understand, not only to understand life, she didn't give birth to the baby, but the first test tube baby was, thought of, and then she actually took up the project, and the baby was born in Bombay. Not only that, after that, subsequently, she also devised a method of, donating eggs from menstruating and menopausal women. And that way, today, many mothers who could not have had their own babies have their. May have hundreds of ideas, but the perspiration is what counts. But not only that, he also said this. So, what are the qualifications we need to be an inventor? He said, to invent, you all need is a good imagination or an inspiration or maybe a creative idea, and then the junk. So, with junk, we can do a lot of things. There is an example that I am going to show you here, a beautiful, creative advertisement. is the most important aspect of innovation. And subsequently, of course, you will think of a solution and then try to create the solution using your creativity, and that's where the innovation process comes. And lastly, the result will be always an invention, what we call in Hindi Avishkar or in Kannada Avishkara. So can we learn to invent is the question that I always ask. Mainly because today we talk a lot about innovations being the driver of the science and technology, or even the driver that we need for the country to progress. And I firmly believe that we can all teach ourselves to be innovators. The only thing is we need to understand what we need to do about that. One of the first things that we need to do is to identify the problem. And identifying the problem is something not so easy, because we Indians, I don't know whether about others, but we Indians have a habit of saying chalta hai. So any problem chalta hai. If I want to give you an example, can I please ask you to take one sheet of paper like this, please? I just show you what's happening. Okay. Can you, do you have, please, one sheet of paper? Can we fold it into half? Fold it. Show me now. All those who have folded. Yeah. That's what we do. We follow people blindly. What did I say? I just said, take a sheet, fold it into half. I never said fold it this way. I said, show it to me. I didn't say, see that you have to fold it this way. But what did we do? All of us folded it this way. The paper can also be folded into half the other. Now, if we can think a little differently than what is we are trained about, it will be easier for us to be innovators. The problem is we get educated ourselves to think in a very narrow way. Can we just shift out of it? Change a little bit, think a little differently, and then do things. Then probably we will see a lot more solutions than is possible. And that is what one is. Identifying a problem is very, very important. If you looked at the first video that I showed and asked yourself the question, what was the problem that the child looked at? It is not the fall that he feared. It is not the height of this one, but what he was looking was, can he bring the level down? That's the question. So how can that be done? Several ways. So for him, the resources available were the pillows, and he used that to bring the level down. That's it. So the question that we need to ask is the most important thing. I need all of us to think about any problem that we have. We usually say that if I ask any problem, probably Dr. Bhaskar Narayan will be knowing. He will ask somebody, do you have any problem? Everybody will say, no problem, sir. So it's not the question. We all will have a problem. For example, right now I have this problem. This is slipping, and I have not been able to change that problem. There was another problem before that. The specs had two lenses, one for close reading, one for a distance viewing. And now we have a solution for that. That is the progressive lens, which I can wear, advance and see at the distance one as well as the. We imagine a lot of solutions, but then we don't look at the resources. when we imagine a solution, we think that the specific resources are required, and if that is not available, the solution is not possible, not necessarily. Let me just give an example. When I was an MSc student, then I had a roommate, and we had to stay in a small room and cook for ourselves. So at one time, we wanted to make rotis. Chapatis at the time, rotis and chapatis in Mysore were a luxury. So we wanted to make that. Unfortunately, we didn't have the baler. Okay, we didn't have anything, just a stove, a few plates, this sparsely, um, furnished kitchen. So then I said it is not possible. We cannot make rotis out of wheat. But my friend was more innovative. He went, took a pencil, a long pencil, and used it as a roller. So that's when I learned my first lesson to be a scientist. So you have to look at the problem clearly. What I wanted was a cylinder. Any cylinder would have done. Any object that looks like a cylinder and that can take a little bit of pressure would have worked as a balance. So if you are only looking for a balance, then probably we would not have put chapati on that day. So the innovations can happen anytime, any place, anywhere. All that we need to do is this: ask the right question, identify the right problem, and find the resources. Then you need skill. So even if you have a balance, if you cannot roll it, or if you don't want to roll it, most of the times this is what we do. We have all the resources, but then we wait for someone else to start doing. Then again, it can't be innovators. Then once we do this, that's where the skills are required. What we talk about is the skill development is mostly this. How do we use the resources? Do we have that training to use the resources fully well? Or the question that we need to ask. Once that skill is there, you try your innovations, test, review, and then you say that, yes, I am ready. So these are the processes that we usually find. And I have put a Lucknow picture. I think that is Hussaini Tower. And I have put it here because all towers, maybe IITR building also has a lightning arrestor. And if you look at that, it's a very simple device invented almost 200 years ago. And it still saves a lot of damage from lightning across the world. And why that was invented? Has to be of some use, some utility. When electricity was invented, or when electricity was found or discovered by Benjamin Franklin in UK, it seems that the King George asked him, what use is that? So it looks, the answer was, if nothing, you can tax it. So that's what Benjamin Franklin seems to have said, because he didn't patent the invention or the discovery of electricity, but subsequently we all know that electricity is also taxed. So he was very prescient at that time. When we talk about electricity, I didn't tell you about G.D. Naidu. G.D. Naidu discovered not only the razor, he was the first person to design and manufacture a motor within India. And that's when we start. It can be a device like a mobile phone, or it can be a process. If you have flown the flights here from anywhere, Indigo today serves what is called as instant foods. The instant foods were a novelty in 1970s in CFTRI. And when my colleagues invented this kind of a do I have 5 more minutes? Okay. So generally, these are the kind of innovations we have: a device, a process, a new use, or an improvement. And the problem in a classroom is always the dust by the chalk. So there can be several solutions for this. You can have a dusty chalk with a cover like this, or you can have a chalk that doesn't give you the dust, but it can still write on the board very clearly. So several solutions are possible for one problem. Okay, this is another one that I find very, very interesting because okay, settled. This is something that I find very interesting because this is a very common problem we all face when we carry or serve a cup of tea to someone else, the shaky, thing, or if the floor is not even. We all find this problem, and this gentleman has a very easy. To be asking questions, and upon innovators, we don't happen to be innovators mainly because these are the excuses. The first excuse is, of course, we all say, I have no problem. How many of you say that I have a problem now? One, two, the rest of them don't have the problem. So that's the question. The second thing is, I tried, but I've not been able to succeed. And of course, Edison has an answer for that also. I thought of that, but it is already there. We need to remember this also. Many people say this. And of course, the last one is the most favorite of all people. I'm not a science student, so I cannot be an innovator. Not necessarily. So these are the examples. So innovations need to be there everywhere. Simultaneously, if you have a twin and you have a problem, what do we do? Fine. But it's not a laughing matter. Look at this. You need to ask the right questions. Do I want an umbrella or do I want a mobile shade? And once you define the problem, it's easy for us to find a solution. Look at that. And that's what we need to. Asking the right question is the most important thing. And to see the problem clearly is very, very important for us. Then the solutions need not be the same always every moment. It can change. Thomas Alva Edison invented the incandescent bulb, but today we don't find the incandescent bulb anywhere, even in this hall. So the reason is that it is not out of utility, but we have invented a lot more things which are more efficient. So if we can have a better invention, an efficient invention, then probably the other inventions. So we cannot say that if somebody has already invented, so why should I look at the problem again? Not necessarily. We have always a chance. We have always a need to look at the same problem again and again in the light of current available resources, in the light of the current society, in the light of our behavior today. So therefore, there is always a chance, a opportunity for innovators. And that's what he said. So if I have failed, it is not that I have failed, but I have discovered that 1,500 things don't work. And my colleague in CFTRA also said the same thing. So he invented, or the team invented, what is called as instant sambar mix. So you just mix water, hot water into that, and you have the sambar ready. But then to get it right, the mixture right, I was told by Mr. K.K. Bhatt, who was there in the team, that they had to test 1,500 times the recipe, not once or twice. And once that is done, they had the right mix, which was appreciated by most of the people, and therefore it became a market trend. So till that happens, you need to keep trying. So thousands of tries, it is possible. It is necessary also. It's not the rocket or robo or these days we have the Atal tinkering labs in almost all the colleges and schools, where you have electronic kits which you assemble and make robots and all. But it is not just those things. There are also very simple things which need solutions, and it's not easy solutions for them also. For example, like I said, the slipping specs, it needs a solution. We have not been able to find it yet. And that's not only my problem, it's a problem for a large people. And when a problem for a large people is there, there is also a marketing opportunity, and that we have to look at. And an individual problem can be solved at home by Jugaad. Many of us do it. Jugaad is a temporary solution for any problem, and an innovation or an invention is a permanent solution, or a long lasting solution, we should say, because there is nothing, no solution is permanent. There must be another genius who comes up and he says that, okay, I can better on this and do that. Okay. That reminds me of one thing. We all have, yesterday I read in, I think, Nature, there is a seed they have invented, which when dropped from the air, from the air, goes into the ground. Once it rains, it starts drilling itself into the ground. And these kind of seeds are available in the nature, but to design it, they had to do a lot of experiments and other things. So designing something that is already there in the nature or mimicking it is not so easy also. So innovations can happen in many places. And then you can also ask the question, if we have already deforested and for reforesting, we have to go for this costly solution. Is that wise? That's a different aspect of innovations. But then we have problems. You can think of any number of solutions. The solutions that are efficient, that fit into our society, that fit into today's time, are the ones that stand. And therefore, I can't say this innovation is better. For people who need this kind of solution. There are many of us who do that, and sometimes very simple solutions are also very novel. Okay. Can somebody say what this is? Identify what is this? This is another type of innovation. Anyone? When I show you this, you will be surprised. So this is it. So a design change, a modification, an improvement can also be a good innovation. All that he has done is to make it very attractive in a different way. That's all. The paperclip. Simple. Okay. So where does the creativity come here? If it is a process, the creativity comes in several places. One is in identifying the problem correctly. So that's where we start thinking. Okay. And once we start identifying the problem and defining the problem clearly, the solutions follow. Okay. The imagining a solution can be out of the box. So folding a paper, it can be done in several different ways, but how do we do it? Do we follow the same path that all others have followed, or do we look at something else? And looking at something else also means we have to consider the resources that we have and other things. And then the skill. Do we have the skill? Lastly, the creativity also is there in the marketing and how we place our product, the USP of the product, and then the things. Where do we go for ideas? Ideas are everywhere. Look at this. This is called Bombardier B, and it uses a very, sparkless, I should say, spark. One-tenth of its size. And where did we get the idea? The cockroach. The cockroach can slip in through any narrow crevice, and therefore that, how does it do? What is the kind of design was looked at by the people, and this particular robo was designed. Of course, we have seen this. On the left side is the nanocarbon. Ones that we have, this is there. Now, I just want to tell you, I started talking about innovations about 7 years back when I found that CSIR conducts a national level, competition called CSIR Innovation Award for School Children. And up to 18 years of age, anybody can participate in this competition. Generally, a problem defined by the student or defined by the participant, applicant, and a solution is also provided by him. This is reviewed by a group of people or experts, and then the awards are given. Unfortunately, not many entries come for this. We have a huge youth in India. We think that the future of India in 2030 will be a large amount of youth under 30. And in spite of that, we do not have much innovations coming up. This is not the only competition. The intern also conducts similar type of competitions. And then for engineering college, there are several hackathons, but hackathons mostly are designed for either coding or for robotics. But these are not the only problems that we have. We have many other problems for which we need solutions, and we need innovators also. The problem is people think that innovation can happen only in certain fields, and innovations cannot be learned. And my firm belief is that innovations are needed, innovations are possible in every field, and innovations can be learned. And this award, in Karnataka, we have hardly any participant coming into this. I have found a few schools here in Lucknow participating in this and also winning the awards. I don't remember the names, but then this is what we need. We need to create a group of youngsters who can train themselves to be innovators and then look at the problems. Or the other way around, we need an army of youth going around and identifying the problems that need solutions. So both ways are required, and we need to tell people the first thing is that innovations do not come by birth. We have to be training ourselves, our mind, then our behavior to identify the problems and to find this one. And where does the science come? The next question will be this. There are two ways of innovations. One is the trial and error method, where we try everything jugaad and then find something working. The science helps us in actually removing all those things, think a little before, and find the nearest solutions possible so that we spend little time on trial and error method and go about that. That's where the science comes. So on this National Science Day, I thank you all for listening to me and hope that in future those 6 photos that I showed will be replaced with many of the youngsters here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those interesting insights. May I now request, with great pleasure, Shri Tarun Sridhar to deliver a keynote address on how science could influence sound policy.
Dr. Sharma. Keynote address on National Science Day. Dr. Sharma, I'm not giving an excuse that I'm not a science student. Then it's not an excuse, but it's just a statement of fact. And you can imagine that my graduation and post-graduation is in arts. So I would not have been a very bright student in school. That's why I landed up in arts. When I was coming here, today is my father-in-law's 90th birthday. So I told them that I'll be a bit late for the function in which the entire family is gathering. So he asked me, where are you going? I said, Lucknow. He said, why? And I said, I have to deliver the keynote address in National Science Day. He looked at me with wonderment. He says, why you? What is your competence and qualification? So I said, I'll connect you to Dr. Bhaskar and he will probably be able to answer this question as to why am I being called. I was truly delighted and honored when you extended this invitation. But when you suggested the subject of food processing for food safety and hygiene, I started developing cold feet because I thought that this was an area which requires a lot of expertise. My expertise is not science, but nor is a policy making my expertise. But having been a policy maker all my life and a career bureaucrat, I think that I do have at least some qualification and right to address this issue. And then during the course of my journey as a professional, credible solutions are discussed within the four walls of laboratories and these auditoriums. The person to whom this problem is material and to whom the solution is directed is not a part of either the discussion or the solution. So we are basically working in various silos. Dr. Khanna quoted from Stephen Hawking. I don't remember the exact quote. It's like science is unraveling the mysteries of the world. So to that extent, science is spirituality. What is spirituality? Spirituality is also unraveling the mysteries of the world. But science would be a notch higher because spirituality unravels the mysteries of the inner self and the mankind and world on the basis of certain beliefs and trusts. Now, science also starts with belief and trust, what is hypothesis, but then science backs it with evidence. Trust and belief is implicit. Hypothesis has to be tested and proved because before it becomes a solution or before it becomes the truth. So to that extent, I would say science is higher than spirituality. Many of you won't agree. Perhaps even the scientists won't agree, but this is what I feel. Sorry, in the morning, I just jotted down a few things on my Google Docs, and so I'll be. Science probably is the most remarkable product of human mankind. The biggest invention of human beings is invention of the discipline of science. And what is policy? Policy is also nothing but an expression of the aspiration of the people as defined by the government of the day. And government of the day means relying upon inputs from bureaucrats like us. How wonderful it would be if that policy is evidence-based rather than merely trust-based. For that, first thing which is required is that there has to be a great degree of trust between policy and science and between policymakers and scientists. Here comes the problem. The problem is that scientists feel that the policy should be such that it is to improve science and the institutions promoting and governing science. Policymakers feel that science should be for the betterment of policy, not policy for the betterment of science. Ideal situation would be a harmonious balancing between these two aspirations. If science flourishes, science can allow and promote policy to flourish. That is where one has to understand the dynamics of each other. Secondly, science primarily depends upon an objective evaluation and an objective understanding of issues and problems. Science, when it defines problem, to which Dr. Sharma was alluding time and again, that it's that defining a problem and a correct definition of a problem is the first step. Whereas policy making has a very heavy degree of subjectivity in this. And that is where we need to understand each other. I would give you some small examples from my own personal experiences and my journey as a bureaucrat and how I closely interacted with scientists and how sometimes science became a very big impediment and how science became a very big help. When I was looking after fisheries in the Ministry of Agriculture, now many of you would know, but for the young students who are present here, I would tell them that India is the second biggest fisheries producing nation in the world. And fish is our biggest agriculture export. We are exporting fish to the extent of nearly 55,000 crores each year. This is much higher than the export of basket. In gold terms. Our production had dropped down to only about 65 to 70,000 tons per year. A disease called white spot syndrome virus, WSSV, had spread. More than 60 to 70% of the shrimp farms were either closed down or were producing at an abysmal level of their capacities. Resultantly, the processing units, exporters, etc., everybody was suffering terribly. Now, there was some scientists suggested that the only solution to this is that you now ignore your traditional shrimp, which you are growing here, and introduce what is called a. The scientific name being given. that is resistant to some of these dangerous pathogens which have affected our shrimp industry. But at the same time, there is a strong group which was opposing this, that if you import an exotic species and introduce exotic species in our waters, and God forbid, if some disease or some issue crops up, will be nowhere. We have to address the present issue only. So this debate between the two sets of people, one who wanted the right restriction to introduce, one who were opposing it, continued for more than a decade. When I took over, I found that why are we debating unnecessarily? Right now, the evidence strongly suggests that we should be introducing the right restriction. However, the scientific papers were all inconclusive. They would extol the merits of white-specific shrimp, but of 100-page documents defining the problem, defining what the species is, that will end with, however, these are the dangers, these are the risks, these are the this could happen. I had a close meeting with Dr. Puneya, who was the director of Central Institute of British Agriculture, a very renowned agriculture scientist, in a closed room. I said, why is it that when I read the first 99 pages, I am 100% convinced. When I read the 100th page, it becomes very difficult for me as a policy maker to take a decision. Now, his reply was very blunt and straight. He says, we are writing this 100th page, however, this could happen, because we are also not getting clear signals from you. If you as a policy maker were to give a clear signal and say, well, we are going to introduce this, so we'll be in it together. So you'll protect. Nobody will question our scientific studies. I said, here it is, I'll give it to you in black and white. Within a matter of minutes, he changed that page into a positive recommendation. So this is where policymakers and scientists tend to trust each other and understand each other's realities. That science can be of great assistance in dictating a very sound and robust policy. Many times what would happen is, I would apologize if some of my remarks may hurt the sentiments of the scientists, but let me be a bit blunt. For the last 20 years, there have been negotiations going on in the World Trade Organization to cut down on fish subsidies. I had the privilege and the duty for almost 5 years to participate in these negotiations. So I must have attended maybe 2 or 3 dozen meetings of WTO on fishery subsidies. Every time we would oppose certain proposal which was brought in by the Western countries, etc., they would confront us with some paper of one of our scientists, and scientists also of one of the government institutions, be it CSIR or ICAR written. Well, here is Dr. So-and-so from Central Institute of Central Marine Fisheries Research Institution. He has clearly written that fisheries management systems in India are very poor. Here is a paper published in the journal of a government institution. They would confront us with endless number of papers. I would always come on the defensive. I say, well, this is an academic paper. This is not a government document, etc. They say, but academic paper published in a government journal. So government should have done due diligence. So then I had a meeting with a large group of scientists who were regularly contributing and explained to them that this is our issue. This is the problem. And then they said, politically, we have decided as a policy that India will take this position and this stance as far as fishery subsidies is concerned in World Trade Organization. And there the discussions are very intense. It is not only scientific issues. There are issues of law involved, legal issues involved, issues of sovereignty involved, issues of international trade and international relations involved. But now science is coming in our way. Now, hats to those scientists. There and then, they gave me about 100 points from science, which could defend India's position. So here it was a question of, it is not putting the cart before the horse, when science understood the political realities and the compulsions of the policymakers, science came to our rescue. That is why when I say that, I think we would progress by leaps and bounds. If you go out and they come in repeatedly, if this cross-sectoral movement between policymakers and scientists takes place, and our decision-making becomes evidence-based at the same time taking into consideration the ground realities and the political necessities. See, goal of science and politics. When I'm choosing politics, I'm intermingling it with policy making also, because after all, the political government of the day which makes policies. Goal of both the scientists and policy makers, goal of both the politicians and the scientists is the same. It is the same. It is the betterment of the society. It is to address the aspiration needs of the society. But the perception, perspective, and mentality is different. You see, science going wrong is that if science goes wrong, it doesn't harm anyone. But if the policy and politics goes wrong, it can have a very detrimental impact on the society and the nation. But if both are together and understands each other's flaws, protect each other when something goes wrong, the policy can be robust, and if the policy is robust, the nation will be much, much stronger. Unfortunately, what is happening now is science is also tending to compromise on certain things. Now, when I say that scientists have to help our policy making, it is not at the cost of compromising the basic principles of science. Some compromises, good compromise. I'll give another example. There is something called Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, which is a statutory body. Whatever is discussed and agreed upon there is legally binding on the nations. It is legally binding on the nations. So this Tuna Commission says that we will fix the quota of fishing of each and every nation. India will not fish more than this X quantity. Pakistan will not fish more than Y quantity. Such and such country will not this thing. So how do you determine the quota? So there is something called, you do fish stock assessment every 5 years. What is the maximum yield you can take out? It's a very scientific study, very elaborate study done over a period of more than 1 year by a group of scientists. Now, we were again facing a very serious problem in the Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, where India was being accused of overfishing and thus depleting the fisheries resources in the Indian Ocean. And fisheries is a common resource. Fish doesn't know national boundaries. Fish doesn't have to take a passport or a visa to travel from Indian waters to Pakistan waters or to the high seas or whatever. So we had this stock assessment committee headed by Dr. Meena Kumari, who was that time Deputy Director General of ICAR, and later on she was also the chairperson of the biodiversity. So they gave me a draft report which was very alarming. I said, if this becomes your stock assessment, our fisheries will plummet. So I had again a closed door meeting. I can disclose now. I had a closed door meeting with her. I said, how authentic is this fish stock assessment? So she explained that scientifically exact assessment can never be made because it's a combination of biological science and statistics. It's basically a biological science. You study biological sciences, then advanced fishery sciences, and then merge it with some statistical models to determine. So there is always a scope of 5 to 10%. I said, if there's a scope for 10% error, can you increase it by 10%? Is it possible? She said that I can do without compromising. Good close understanding of science and policy is required. But a word of caution. It should not mean that trust and belief should replace science, as one is witnessing happening many times. Maybe because of career ambitions of scientists. Maybe out of some fear or apprehension that if I don't toe the political line in terms of what they want, probably my interest may be jeopardized or maybe put to some kind of risk, or very gross competitiveness among scientists. Well, my paper or my finding should be given a higher pedestal and other things. So with the result that what we are doing is that we are not really discovering truth. In the name of truth, we are also promoting certain beliefs, etc., which may be more in the realm of sentiments or religion or societal values, rather than beliefs which are based on evidence-based scientific research. So you don't have to only find the truth, you also have to call the falsehoods. The falsehoods which are being propagated in the name of science and becoming the policy of the day. When I was in animal husbandry, now no harm, good policy that you promote your own indigenous breeds of cow. Wonderful policy. You start a program for genetic improvement, for selective breeding, for better productivity, etc. But you cannot be saying, well, the glory of our indigenous cow is so high that we are not going to allow any other breed into this country. Why I'm saying this, a very interesting thing happened. One of the most popular Indian breeds of cow and the most productive is Gir cow, which is primarily found in the regions of Gujarat and some in Maharashtra and Rajasthan. Now, Gir cow is a very hardy animal. It can survive without much food. It can survive without much water. It is resistant to diseases. It can survive or flourish even in the extremities of weather. Gir cow, along with certain other breeds commonly called Brahman, were exported to USA and now this is the kind of difference. We don't have beef industry, but they started breeding cows only for beef, breeding cows only for milk, or breeding cows for both the purposes. So they started calling their Gir cow as Brazilian Gir or Girlando. They crossbred it with various things and had a continuous breed improvement program. So when I was secretary of the department, this issue confronted us that why is it that our own cow in our country is giving 7 liters and there it is giving 70 liters. It is like non-resident Indians. Now, when we are in India, we will litter also everything, but when we are abroad, we have become very responsible. So I imported Gir cows, Gir bulls, and the germplasm of Gir from Brazil to India, live bulls also, as also the germplasm. I faced a lot of criticism that you are compromising the purity of our breed by importing from there. Now, while I respect this sentiment of purity of the breed, I would say sentiment is fine, but this sentiment is totally contrary to science. That unless there is a continuous breed improvement, you will never increase your productivity and production. However, here, science started failing me. Now, the scientists who till now had been very strong pillars of support, many of them started failing in no, purity of breed is very important. The quality, it is not only the quantity of milk, the quality of milk Indian cow produces is much greater. It is A2 milk. Till date, I have worked in this sector. I have studied a lot. I still don't know what is the difference between A1 milk and A2 milk and how is A2 milk better or A1 milk. Some people, it's okay. It's a personal choice. Personal choice is okay, but don't impose this personal choice by misquoting science. And that is what started happening, that we started extolling the virtues of our cow vis-a-vis others. Our cow does have virtues, but that cow also.
if we choose to ignore science, it is at our own peril or at the peril of the nation. But if scientists give this same advice which encourages us to take on scientific research, that is where the danger ends. So I end by saying that see, this is a research institute. And I just opened the website the morning, it said multidisciplinary.
Multidisciplinary research. You conduct multidisciplinary research. In today's world, that is, this multidisciplinary has become very important. It is not biology, botany, zoology, physics, chemistry. There is a great overlap and cross-sectoral interface which needs to be established. I do not know whether one CSIR lab actually talks to another CSIR lab and you actually conduct a coordinated. I found it in the ICR institutes that same thing is being done by a Calcutta-based institute, same thing is being done by Cochin Institute. All are publishing papers, but there is no cross-sectoral communication between them. So when there is no communication amongst ourselves, how do you communicate with the people? After all, science is not an end in itself, nor is it functioning in a vacuum. If it is for seeking the larger truth and finding solutions to the problems, etc. So you have to find who is facing the problem and whether he's admitting the problem or not, and then provide the solutions. If we are providing solutions within the four walls of our laboratories, that would not help. Today is an age of digitalization. Every young boy, girl, be it in a village or this thing, on a mobile, within 1 minute can find all kinds of information, and then test whether your information is authentic, correct, or incorrect. So this kind of a cross-sectoral interface is very essential, especially the digitalization part of it. With ChatGPT, you can find anything. Within minutes and seconds, it will give. The fear is it will start giving the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator will come. That is again a big challenge before the scientists. We have research. We have great research. We have development. There is a great development going on. And science has to keep showing ways to the policy makers in terms of how to improve our roads, how to construct the roads better, how to improve our electricity transmission and distribution system, how to improve our water supply system, whole lots of governance. Each day science could be, after all, mysteries of the world is not going to end. So there is going to be a huge challenges before the scientists, new mysteries will emerge and new problem and challenges will emerge. So we have research going on. We have development going on. But what is missing is that and. Research and development. Research is here, development is here, the and is missing. And that is what we need to do. Once we do that, and science and policy enter into a harmonious state of marriage rather than the acrimony which exists, I think we'll be founding the base of our democracy, of our entire gamut of governance, on a very sound footing, and we'll be giving very robust policies to our people. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for this honor and opportunity.
That was really informative. Thank you, sir. Now I request all the dignitaries to come onto the stage. I now request our director to felicitate our chief guest and guest of honor with a memento and shawl. now request Dr. R. Parthasarathy, Coordinator, Jigyasa CSIR IITR, to coordinate the distribution of awards, Jigyasa Epic 2022 to 2023.
Thank you so much, respected dignitaries on the stage and our friends and colleagues and students. It's a most awaited moment. Good morning. Still not noon yet. Good morning. CSIR IIT are conducting this Jigyasa program for past 6 years, almost more than 6 years. This EPIC is our sixth one in the series of empowering people, innovation, creativity. The Jigyasa started with the direct intervention and dream of our Honorable Prime Minister. So CSIR started doing it to inculcate this scientific temperament among the students by bringing them to our institute and demonstrate our technologies and research how they are conducted in the lab. CSIR IIT are doing this for past 5 years, and very quickly we are very much kind of appreciated among our CSIR labs. So our Be a Scientist program also listed it's one of the science and technology led excellence for inclusive development 2014 to 18. It's our program got enlisted, and several other programs we are conducting every year. More than 5,000 to 8,000 students we are catering in the Be a Scientist program. This Be a Scientist program also currently is adopted in many of our CSIR labs and CSIR Lucknow labs and various schools. And EPIC is the empowering participation. And also in India, also various schools or engineering colleges, they got fellowship based on their winners and making an innovator award. During that time, two of our students in EPIC innovators got interacted with our honorable minister in a virtual lab inauguration. So during this history of this EPIC 2022-23, we announced it in April, and we got 85 ideas, and that is evaluated by the jury panels include Atal Innovation Mission, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sanketan, CSIR, and various technology award winners of CSIR. And after that, the 25 winners got announced. The 25 innovators, let's take the pictures. This 25 innovators later made up several rigorous level of pitching how they can develop this technology and go to market. So it's the right time. I think we finally got 5 winners of our EPIC 2023. I request our guest and our director to present and felicitate our winners. Right now, this is some snapshot of our pitching sessions. So let's go from the winner or like runner-up 4. Yashika Das and Rushad Shah, they developed a concept on CarboCure, collecting unburned carbon from vehicles. In this project, they aim to develop a device to collect the carbon shoot from LDVPS. Now I invite them to come on stage. Closer. Thank you, sir. And now the third runner-up is Tejaswa Pratap. Tejaswa Pratap is here. Please come on stage. So he developed an idea on smart irrigation app. That smart irrigation app, an automatic smart irrigation system that works with a wireless connectivity with the help of irrigate fields with just a click. And the second runner-up is Minshti Gupta. Her idea is device to auto switch off the gas based on alert system. Minshti Gupta. Yeah. Only then. Then the first runner-up is Dhruvi Gupta. She developed a solar tiny box in the projector. Contactless sanitation is possible. It's easy to use and environment friendly, cost effective, and can be used for everyone. Like it's more friendly solar tiny box. Please. And the winner is Arush Mahajan. He's not here. Oh, he is not here due to some examination. He couldn't join with us. Yeah. Teachers, no, not yet. Please, someone can collect. Please, man. From your collect, your school, right? No. Yeah. Sure. This time I really thankful and I thank our entire Jigyasa team. They only coordinated my various events here. And first runner-up, Hitika Mathur. Hitika Mathur is there? He's not coming. Yeah, please. Yeah. Oh, yes, mom. Okay. Yeah. So they are teams, sir. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request our director to kindly address the audience. Sir, please come.
I don't know what to speak. I'm sure all of you, including the kids who are assembled here, would certainly agree with me that that one today, sir, and I'm really thankful to you for giving an exemplary lecture on how policy and science can go hand in hand without having a conflict, and how both of them can work towards society. And sir, I also just like to apprise you that in CSIR, normally we talk to each other in the other laboratories. We normally don't go for repetitive research. We normally go for a complementary research, and we normally identify industrial issues. And across this 1 week, 1 lab program, we also have an activity on March 2nd where we are trying to launch a platform called IIT Arcades, where we are trying to have a consultative arrangement with different stakeholders. To connect them to different CSR labs. If none of the CSR labs are going to help with them, and then we also connect with ICMR or ICR labs. So we have that arrangement that's going to come into place from March. It's not that the arrangement was not there. It's going to be formalized on March 2nd, and under that we are also trying to do a vertical called GAIN. It is called Government Academia Industry Network, where the problems of mutual importance are discussed, and there could be investment even coming from the government policymakers or from the industry to address a particular issue, so that an amicable solution, which is people friendly, which is policy friendly, can be worked out for the benefit of society. And I must really compliment Sharma ji for simplifying science the way he did it. And the kids video was amazing. I had I'm sure all of you must have seen on TikTok or Facebook, but I don't think any one of you would have imagined how science can be linked to that particular video where a kid actually does use the resources. And there's a profound message that both the speakers give, that science or policy, science and policy, or the policy of science or the science of policy, have to be doing everything with the political economy, social economy, and the societal needs of the country and in all of the globe. So this is where it's very important that we carry home a message that science in a silo will never work, policy in a silo will never work, and they both have to go hand in hand. And ultimate beneficiary is the society, and it's you and me as part of the society who get benefited with the way science and policy move together. And thank you both, sir, for having been such informative, such knowledgeable. And I always remember Dr. Ayyappan at this juncture, when once he said, when he was traveling in air, he was talking to a farmer. So he asked, then the farmer says, "No, sir, you're all in AC rooms. You don't even understand what we are talking. You don't even know the difference between knowledge, information, and wisdom." And so Ayyappan said, the way, the so simple soul he is, said, okay, why don't you explain to me what is information, knowledge, or science? And he gives an example. The farmer to the secretary there and the DG ICR gives an example of a tomato. Tomato is a fruit, right? It's a knowledge. But would you use it in a fruit salad? You can't use it in a fruit salad. Is wisdom. You can't certainly use it in. So the information is that tomato can be used in different dishes. The knowledge is tomato is a fruit, but despite being a fruit, you can't use it in a fruit salad. That is wisdom. So that profoundness in how people expect science to be simplified is given with that one example, that people need science to be simplified the way they understand it, not the way we scientists understand it. And certainly you both touch upon the same chord, stating that whatever we do today has to transmit to somebody who is outside our campus, who knows the value of what science is being doing for them over years and what science is doing to them right now. So if science were not to be there, COVID would not have gone out of this place. No vaccine could have been developed. And the improvements in science certainly has helped to cut down the time of development of vaccine from say 70, say earlier in the days, it used to take about 43 years to develop the first vaccine. Now COVID vaccine was developed in a jiffy. You can call it as rapid, you can call it as robust. It was done in a matter of record time. In a year's time, COVID vaccine was there. So this is what science does to society. But unless we communicate to society that this is what science has done to you, nobody would understand. So this is where I felt both the speakers, and I'm really thankful to them for simplifying the entire aspect of policy and science communication in such a simple terms and without any clutter in the message that they gave. And with that, I know I am sure, sir, I'm really humbled that you have both accepted my invitation and being present in this great institution. And we have been working with a lot of stakeholders. And certainly your message today gives us much more impetus and much more strength that, you know, what we have been doing for the last so many years is the same thing, that we were trying to connect to stakeholders and trying to simplify science for them and then trying to make them understand that what we are trying to do in terms of, though not with the juggleries, but with simple language, that this is what we are trying to do. And with that, I stop here. And once again, I'm really, and from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the entire CSIR IITR, thank you both for being present here. And it was an honor to have you both here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to thank actually Tarun Sridharji, IAS, former Secretary Government of India, for sparing his valuable time from his busy schedule and deliver a keynote address, very informative address, as Dr. Sir said, on this occasion. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank Dr. ASKVS Sharma ji, former Chief Scientist, CSIR, CFTRI, for taking the time and deliver a popular lecture. I would like to thank Director Sir, Dr. Bhaskar Narayan ji, for his constant support and guidance to the organizing team of this event. My thanks are due to CSIR for initiating a unique and one of its kind campaign, 1 week, 1 lab, and giving opportunity to its laboratories to showcase the work being done by them. I am also thankful from the print and electronic media for covering the programs organized by our institute, and hope they will continue to do so. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the staff members, students of the institute for their hard work towards the successful organization of this event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. I request all to rise for the national anthem.
So this, please join for a cup of coffee in the lawn. Thank you.